There's a fear that runs deeper in us than almost any other. Not of the dark exactly, and not of heights. It's the fear of deep water, of what might be down there, beneath you, in the parts of the ocean the light never reaches. We even have a name for it, Thalassophobia. And it's so common, so widely shared across cultures that you have to wonder where it comes from. Why should so many of us be born already afraid of the sea? And I think the answer is written into the fossil record. Because there was a moment, a specific chapter in the history of this planet when the ocean stopped being a peaceful place and became a hunting ground. When, for the very first time, something in the water started actively chasing, catching, and eating other things. Before that moment, life just drifted. After it, life had to run. That was the moment the nightmare began. And today, I want to take you back to it. To get there, we have to travel further back than almost anything else on this channel, more than 500 million years, to a pair of periods called the Cambrian and the Ordovician. And I need you to throw out every mental image you have of the ocean, because there was nothing in it you'd recognize. No fish worth the name, no sharks, no whales, obviously, no corals as we know them. The land above the water was bare rock and sand, utterly lifeless. Not a single plant or animal had crawled ashore yet. All of life, the entire story, was still confined to the sea. And for a long time, that life was gentle. Soft little creatures filtering the water, grazing on microbial mats, drifting on the currents. A quiet world. And then something appeared that changed the rules forever. Its name is Anomalocaris, and it holds one of the most important titles in the history of life. It is widely regarded as Earth's first true apex predator, the first animal to sit unquestionably at the top of a food chain. Before it, predator barely meant anything. After it, the word had teeth. Now, when its fossils first turned up in the 1800s, they caused pure confusion, so much so that its various body parts were each mistaken for different animals. Its grasping front appendage was described as a shrimp. Its circular mouth was mistaken for a jellyfish. It took nearly a century for scientists to realize these weren't three creatures. They were three pieces of one. And the name Anomalocaris means abnormal shrimp, a leftover from that early muddle. And it was abnormal. Picture something like a swimming creature up to about 2 feet long, enormous for its time, when most animals were the size of your finger. It had a segmented body lined with rippling side flaps that let it swim with real agility. A pair of huge compound eyes on stalks, some of the finest eyes of the entire era, giving it sharp hunting vision. And at the front, 2 spined, grasping appendages that curled inward toward a strange circular mouth ringed with plates. For a long time, we assumed those appendages were built to crush the armor of trilobites. But a 2023 study using 3D modeling found something more interesting. They were actually rather delicate, built for grabbing soft prey and, crucially, built for speed. Anomalocaris wasn't a slow armor cracker. It was a fast, agile pursuit hunter, chasing down soft-bodied prey through open water, which is, if anything, more unsettling. This was the first thing on Earth that could come after you. And its arrival kicked off something profound, what paleontologists sometimes call an evolutionary arms race. Because the moment a predator like Anomalocaris exists, everything else has to respond. Prey animals suddenly needed defenses, so they evolved shells, spines, armor, and the ability to burrow and to flee. And as prey got tougher, predators had to get better, faster, sharper, bigger. Once that cycle started, it never stopped. It's still running today. And it all traces back to this moment in these seas. But here's the thing about Anomalocaris. For all its menace, it was, by our standards, small. 2 feet of abnormal shrimp is a nightmare if you're a trilobite. It's not much of a nightmare for you. So if that were the whole story, Thalassophobia would be hard to justify. But it isn't the whole story. Because as that arms race heated up, the oceans started producing genuine giants. And the first of them came from Anomalocaris' own family. Its name is Aegirocassis, and it lived in the Ordovician seas of what's now Morocco. It was a cousin of Anomalocaris that grew to around 2 meters, over 6 feet. But here's the twist, and it's a lovely one. Aegirocassis wasn't a hunter at all. It was the earliest known giant filter feeder. Those grasping appendages that Anomalocaris used to seize prey had in Aegirocassis evolved into elaborate rakes lined with fine bristles, which it used to comb tiny plankton from the water. Exactly the same strategy a blue whale or a whale shark uses today, invented for the first time 500 million years early. So the very first ocean giant was, ironically, a gentle one, a small mercy. The ocean would not stay merciful for long, because 2 other groups were rising through the ranks in this arms race, and they were not gentle. The first were the nautiloids, cephalopods, relatives of today's octopuses and squid, but housed inside long, straight, conical shells. We call them orthocones, and the largest of them is a creature called Cameroceras. And Cameroceras was the true monster of the Ordovician. Estimates of its size have shifted over the years. Older reconstructions ran wild, up toward 30 feet, though modern, more careful figures put the largest around 9 to 11 meters, which is still comfortably over 30 feet in the boldest cases and enormous by any measure. Whatever the exact number, it was very likely the largest animal on the entire planet at the time. And it was no gentle giant like Aegirocassis. Picture a squid's body, grasping tentacles, a sharp, powerful beak, but packed into the front of a colossal, cone-shaped shell as long as a bus. It was an apex predator, and it hunted everything within reach. Trilobites, early jawless fish, sea scorpions, and, in all likelihood, smaller orthocones of its own kind. Now, how it actually hunted is debated. That gigantic shell would have made it slow, so it probably wasn't chasing anything down. The leading idea is that Cameroceras was an ambush predator, hanging in the water or lurking near the sea floor and seizing anything unlucky enough to drift within range of those tentacles before dragging it back to that beak. Which, if you think about it, is the exact shape of the modern fear. Not the thing you can see coming, the thing that's already there, waiting in the water beside you. And it had a rival. The other group climbing the food chain were the Eurypterids, the sea scorpions. And these are personal favourites of mine because they are genuinely alien. Imagine a scorpion but aquatic, and in some cases enormous, with a pair of large paddles for swimming and grasping claws out front for seizing prey. For a long time we thought they first appeared in the Ordovician, but here's a genuinely hot off the press update. A study published in late 2025 described Eurypterid fragments from Morocco that pushed their origins back even earlier, deep into the Cambrian, meaning these things were part of the story almost from the very beginning of the predator age. They'd go on to become some of the largest arthropods that ever lived, and the dominant hunters of the seas to come. But even here, at the dawn, they were already carving out their place as agile, armoured, claw-wielding killers. So look at what these ancient oceans had assembled. A fast-swimming pursuit predator with grasping arms and superb eyes. A 30-foot cone-shelled monster lurking to ambush anything that swam past. And armoured, claw-bearing sea scorpions patrolling the shallows. For the first time in the history of the planet, the water was full of things that wanted to catch you and eat you. This is, I'd argue, the exact moment the ocean became frightening. The moment Thalassophobia was born. And the fish? The animals that would eventually become us? At this point, they were nobody. The earliest fish of these seas, things like Arandaspis, were small, jawless, armoured little creatures with no fins to speak of, sucking food particles from the water and, frankly, hiding. They were prey. They spent this entire chapter near the bottom of the food chain, dodging the giants overhead. It would be tens of millions of years before our lineage evolved jaws and started climbing toward the top. In these seas, our ancestors were the ones doing the fearing. And maybe that's the real answer to the question I started with. Maybe the reason so many of us feel that instinctive dread when we can't see the bottom, that certainty that something is down there, is that on some deep evolutionary level, it's true. Our ancestors spent their formative eons as small, soft, hunted things in a sea full of monsters. That fear kept them alive long enough to become us. We didn't invent thalassophobia. We inherited it from the first creatures ever to be chased through the dark water more than 500 million years ago. The monsters changed over the ages. The orthocones gave way to the sea scorpions to the armoured fish, and on, right up to the sharks and whales of today. But the fear they first planted never left us. It's still there, every time you swim out past the point where your feet can touch. And honestly, after looking at what started it all, I think that fear has earned its keep. Thanks for watching, and until next time, keep looking up, and maybe stay out of the deep end.